Hey guys, Red Eye Dingbat here, and we are going to be watching me do a bit of grinding in Pokemon Black 2, my Nuzlocke. Trying to get everyone up to level 47 or 48, whilst I read some SCPs. The reason I'm doing this is because I needed to grind, and I love reading these SCPs, I really do. I have been a fan of these for a long time, and if you've been following at least the SCP series, you would know that the last episode I talked about this a little bit as well. But I really do like these. And I haven't actually seen anybody on YouTube just go through them from SCP-002 all the way through them, which is what I'm attempting to do. It's obviously going to take a very long time because I'm not doing this as a dedicated series. I'm doing this as and when I can, and there is over 6,000 of them. But we are currently on to SCP-017, Shadow Person. So, let's get into Shadow Person. SCP-017, Object Class, Keta. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-017 is contained in an acrylic glass cage, 100 centimeters by 50 centimeters by 50 centimeters. Centrally suspended in a concrete room measuring 6 meters by 6 meters by 4 meters. Attached to the walls, ceiling, and floor of the room are high-intensity arc lamp spotlights pointed directly at the acrylic cage to ensure that SCP-017 is constantly exposed to light from every angle. Personnel assigned to the SCP-017 control room are to monitor the functionality of the spotlights and the emergency generator system, and call for maintenance immediately upon knowledge of a burnt-out lamp or an issue with the generator. The only circumstances under which personnel are allowed to entrance is to replace the lamps. Personnel entering the room are required to wear the designated full-body reflective suits and must be cautioned not to step in front of functional spotlights. Description: SCP-017 is a humanoid figure approximately 80 centimeters in height, anatomically similar to a small child, but with no discernible identifying features. SCP-017 seems to be composed of a shadowy, smoke-like shroud. No attempt to find any object beneath the shroud has been successful, but the possibility has not been ruled out. SCP-017's reaction to shadows cast upon it is immediate and swift. SCP-017 leaps at the subject cast in the shadow and completely encloses it in its shroud, whereupon it returns to its original size, leaving no trace of the object behind. Additional notes: personnel with beta clearance or higher should also see document SCP-17-1. Now, let's see, can I find SCP-17-1? Because this one seems a little bit, you know, where is it? Okay, SCP series. Okay, let's see if I can't. Okay, so SCP-17-1. It's searching. Hold on. Why isn't it? Okay. Operation timed out. Okay, so SCP-017-1. Would that work? Hold on. Okay, so it's not working. Oh well. So that is SCP-017. It's a shadowy person that envelops people that cast shadows upon it and then just goes away, sort of thing. Ooh, this one's got a lot of redacted things. Okay, so this is SCP-18, Super Ball. Item: SCP-18, Object Class, Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-18 is to be contained in its specialty metal restraint inside of a 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter sealed box lined with heavy synthetic padding. The sealed box is then submerged in the center of a 10 by 10 by 10 meter polythene holding tank. If SCP-18 is to break free from the holding box, the polythene-based goo will slow down kinetic activity enough for proper retrieval by containment personnel. Personnel entering SCP-18's holding chamber are to wear specialized padding found inside of SCP-18's observation room, and a breathing apparatus before being lowered into the polythene tank. If SCP-18 is loose outside of polythene tank, personnel are advised to secure themselves in a separate room and close doorways or hatches to isolate SCP-18 until containment teams arrive. Description: SCP-18 has the appearance of a Super Ball made by the Wham-O Company in 1969. It is 6 centimeters in diameter and colored red, found when the Blank Company was hired to clean out a warehouse that had Wham-O merchandise in it. SCP-18 was noted to be able to bounce with extreme height. At first thought to be a pleasant child's toy, SCP-18 was able to bounce over 200%. Was able to bounce with over 200% efficiency. That is, if dropped 1 meter, it would bounce 2, then 4, then 8, then 16. The ball soon becomes a dangerous projectile, reaching speeds estimated at over 100 kilometers an hour, and damaging property, including injuring 5 in the city of Blank. It came to rest after several days in the nearby lake of Blank and was retrieved by SCP personnel. Due to the speed of the object and the total surprise by its victims, no cover-up story was required or initiated. Document: SCP-18-4 Message to 05 Blank. Blank. I hope everything is well. The reason I write to you is because I believe I have found a more efficient method for retrieving new or escaped SCP objects. Yes, I realize we haven't made any progress in reverse engineering whatever allows this thing to defy the laws of thermodynamics, but we come up with a very effective method for integrating one of the new SCP-A5, those new SCP-A5 armor suits with it. Just hear me out. We implant it in the bottom of the boot, rig up a little bit of a mechanical device, and ta-da! The suit is now capable of jumping well over a building. Also, if the wearer has their foot against something they want dead, well, let's just say it delivers a hell of a kick. All I need is permission to modify one of the pre-existing SCP-A5 suits, and you'll be able to actually capture Blank, plus any other escaped SCP objects. Trust me, when have I let you down in the past? Dr. Blank. Document 18-6. Letter to Dr. Blank. Dr. Blank. Upon assignment, Agent Blank was issued your modified SCP-A5 armor in retrieving SCP Blank, and the results are mixed. Agent Blank was able to place the Blank collar onto SCP Blank, chase it through the Amazon, and restrain it by dismemberment. However, due to a malfunction of your little mechanical device, he was launched almost a mile in the air and suffered 2 broken legs, 7 broken ribs, a missing arm, and a skull fracture upon hitting the water of Lake Blank on the way back down. You will fix that before I authorize your armor for common use. Document 18-11. Message to 05-Blank. Blank. Don't worry, it's fixed. But I have some more ideas. Can I be granted the use of some water from SCP-006, SCP Blank, and possibly SCP Blank? I can deliver you a set of SCP-A5 armor and an agent that can capture any if not all, rogue or unattained SCPs. And all I'm waiting on is your approval. I'm guessing he didn't get the approval. He sounds a bit too enthusiastic there. But that is the end of SCP-18. Okay? It's essentially probable that instead of slowing down when it's bounces higher than it was dropped. Okay? Sort of somehow even more efficient than a perpetual motion device, which is obviously theoretical. You know, that's actually quite funny, to be honest. Especially the little addendum at the bottom with the letters. You know, they're always quite nice. So this is SCP-19 we're going on to, the Monster Pot. Okay. Okay, so SCP-19, Object Class, Keta. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-19 is to be kept on a wide grate in a 3 meter by 3 meter by 4 meter reinforced concrete room, installed with an incinerator. Room is to be kept at 0 degrees centigrade when incinerator is not activated. An observation chamber separated by a plate glass window is to be used for constant observation of SCP-19, and if/when specimens of SCP-19-2 are observed, the incinerator is to be activated. In an event of an outbreak of SCP-19-2, ordinary firearms are successful in terminating individual specimens, although in the case of a swarm-level outbreak, flamethrowers may be more effective. SCP-19 should be kept in a vertical position at all times. So it's like a little vase, yeah? Description. SCP-19 appears to be a very large ceramic vase, 1.8 meters in diameter at the mouth and 2.4 meters high. And decoration indicates it was created in classical Greece, although conclusive dating is impossible, as the surface is entirely unbreakable by any known means. If a successful method is discovered, SCP-19 is to be destroyed with prejudice. Periodically, entities emerge from SCP-19. Collectively, these are known as SCP-19-2. The entities are vary in many aspects, but tend to be small, vaguely humanoid, although they do have animaloid features, and extremely hostile. They often choose to attack with teeth and claws, although fairly delicate, also surprisingly flammable. They are reasonably strong and pose a considerable threat in large numbers. When kept at 0 degrees Celsius and totally at rest, entities will emerge from SCP-19 at a rate of approximately 1 entity per hour. Following traits are known to affect SCP-19-2's manifestation rate. Movement of SCP-19, threat to SCP-19, extreme temperatures, high and lows, sudden shift in surrounding environment, introduction of objects or organisms to the inside of SCP-19 known to cause a flood reaction. Traits that may or may not influence SCP-19-2's manifestation rate. Presence of human life near SCP-19. Current weather patterns. Specific individuals near SCP-19. Some individuals seem to affect SCP-19-2's emergence rate more drastically than others. In addition, tipping or tilting SCP-19 will create a reaction as though it was previously filled with SCP-19-2 specimens, although viewers looking into SCP-19 from above will merely observe a dark hole. Due to the production rate of SCP-19-2 when the object is disturbed, measurement of the internal cavity is difficult, but it is suspected to be inconsistent with outside measurements. Addendum. Document SCP-19-2-A. SCP-19-2 notes as manifested by Dr. Light and Dr. Vox. As maintained by Dr. Light and Dr. Vox. Okay. So, the dates are completely blacked out. So, SCP-19-2 specimen was removed from containment chamber and kept in a reinforced pen, provided with water and live chickens as food. Specimen made quiet, continued, garbled vocalization, determined to be phonetically similar to ancient Hellenic languages. Although the reason for this is unknown, specimens are still thought to be no more intelligent than animals. Specimen lived for less than 48 hours, and a dissection revealed anatomy consistent to a cellular level with normal biology, but with extremely unstable musculoskeletal structure. Other notable anomalies included an unstable respiratory system, nearly non-existent digestive tract, and virtually no other internal organs. All other captures, specimens, have followed similar patterns of behavior and demise. Note: it appears that SCP-19-2 specimens were not intended to live for meaningful amounts of time outside of SCP-19. Dr. Vox. Second, and then note 2. Containment unit was slightly damaged following prolonged exposure to SCP-19-2 specimen. Missed by the monitoring team because of partial transparency. It has not been noted in SCP-19-2 before. Monitoring teams will continue to report further anomalies. Note 3. Monitoring teams report some specimens of SCP-19-2 now appear to be significantly more resistant to incineration than others. It's hypothesized that this is a defense mechanism on the part of SCP-19. And note 4. Most specimens of SCP-19-2 are now all but completely resistant to the effects of the incinerator. Replacement of incinerator with an acid bath has been considered. Evolution of SCP-19-2 is being studied and may be evidence of sentience in SCP-19. So that was SCP-19. Okay? It's a massive vase from ancient Greece that systematically and periodically pumps out things that are evolving to become more resistant to the damage that they receive over time. So I've got hair in my mouth. I've got it out now, I think, yeah. Right. So, yeah. It's a very cool one. I like it. There isn't really that much to say about these first ones, and I like that again. Okay, so now we're going on to SCP-20, Unseen Mold. Okay, so SCP-20, Object Class Keter, Special Containment Procedures. Samples of SCP-20 are stored in a series of sealed cultivation chambers inside a sealed containment room at Biological Research Area 12, which is accessible only via airlock. Nutrients are administered via automated robotic systems, as the cultivation chamber must remain sealed at all times. Hermetically sealed video surveillance cameras are installed within the containment area and must be checked daily for integrity. Any personnel entering the containment room must wear biosafety level 5 equipment, including rebreathers, and undergo full antifungal disinfection upon exiting. Description: SCP-20 is a fast-spreading fungal organism that is capable of affecting the senses and behavior of living creatures, including humans. Samples of SCP-20 exhibit an unknown effect that renders them effectively invisible to direct observation, even when under a microscope. SCP-20 is only visible to humans when viewed through photographic or video surveillance. Once SCP-20 forms a colony, usually within human residents, they will produce spores that affect the behavior of humans around it. Affected subjects will increase the heat and humidity within their homes to create an environment more suitable to the growth of SCP-20. Effective subjects will also become more sociable in many cases, and often invite acquaintances to their home for further spread of the organism. As the spores and mold colonies are invisible to affected subjects, the mold may sometimes grow directly on living subjects. As the spores and colonies within a home approach a critical concentration, the health of the affected human subject will rapidly deteriorate, resulting in death. Further spread of the mold may occur as the bodies of any deceased subjects are encountered by emergency responders and healthcare agents, as well as transportation of the bodies to the local morgues. SCP-20 was first encountered in Redacted, where an undercover SCP agent noted dramatic personality shifts and changes in personnel working at the local hospital. Upon investigation by a containment team, it was discovered that almost blank civilians had been infected, as well as the majority of the town. The civilian population was terminated, and the town incinerated under cover of a local flash forest fire. To date, over 12 outbreaks of SCP-20 have been reported. Investigations are currently underway to determine the source of these outbreaks and possible preventative measures. Addendum: SCP-20-1. Excerpts from the audio/visual mission recorders of the Mobile Task Force ETRA-10, See No Evil, during the initial containment of SCP-20 on Redacted. T2 Lead. Team 2, move into the Red House. T2 Com. Copy. UAV-1 picking up 1 heat signature. T2 Lead. Team 2 in place. Ready to expletive. T2-2. Door opening. At this point, a civilian woman appeared in the doorway, holding a kitchen knife. Video surveillance showed nearly 2/3 of her face was covered by mold growths. Civilian woman. Well, hello there, gentlemen. Care to take a breather inside? T2 Lead. On the ground. Drop the weapon. Civilian woman. Don't be silly. Come in and stay a while. T2 Lead. Stop where you are. Drop the weapon. Civilian woman. We just want to have some guests. Please, come in. T2-2. Drop the fucking weapon! It is assumed that at this point, the infected civilian noticed T2-4 carrying a primed incendiary weapon and launched forward at the team's members with the knife. Civilian woman. Data expunged. T2 Lead. Open fire! Open fire! Gunfire. Screaming. And that is SCP-20. Again, it's a mold that you can't see, that then changes your behavior to best suit the expansion of the mold. There are some things in real life that do this. There's the thing that there's the fungus that infects ants and essentially forces them to infect other ants and then go to a place where is most suitable for the spore to grow, and then essentially cannibalizes it from the inside out. There's a couple of other things that do something like that. There's a thing that goes into mice that changes their behavior so that they're not afraid of cats, so that then the cats eat it. And then it goes into humans who are around the cat, and it's said that it actually changes human behavior to be more friendly to the cat and but get more cats, so therefore it can spread in cats again and stuff like that. So there is basis for this stuff in real life. So now we are going on to SCP-21, Skin Worm. But it's the weird spelling of the worm, which sort of means like dragon. So WYRN, worm. So, SCP-21, Object Class Safe, Special Containment Procedures. SCP-21 is an obligate parasite of the human body. Containment, therefore, is no more difficult than containing an adult human. Most cells will suffice. Item is currently housed in Detention Cell 217A, On subject D-139, only Class D personnel are eligible for hosting SCP-21. As long as a given subject survives as a host for SCP-21, he is exempt from normal monthly terminations from Class D personnel. Description: SCP-21 takes the form of a large and elaborate tattoo of a serpentine dragon in the Oriental style, covering approximately 0.8 square meters of skin. This tattoo is fully animate within the confines of the host's skin and behaves largely as a normal animal would, albeit in only 2 dimensions. The tattoo's movement causes constant pain to the host, compatible and similar in character to the simultaneous tattooing and tattoo removal on a large scale. Organism tends to spend most of its time on or near the torso. SCP-21 displays no intelligence beyond basic pattern of feeding and locomotion, although actually measuring the intelligence of a 2-dimensional life form has proven impossible thus far. SCP-21 appears to feed exclusively on pigments in the skins on the host. Sorry about that. SCP-21 appears to feed exclusively on pigments in the host's skin. This can include melanin, in which case the subject appears to be suffering from vitiligo. However, the organism shows a marked preference for other tattoos, and will seek out and devour these before resorting to natural pigments. It should be noted that the feeding process itself, beyond the sensation of movement, is painless. Normal tattooing simply vanishes as it is eaten. The organism maintains its constant size and no excretions have been observed. The organism is capable of clearing over 0.6 square meters of skin per hour. One may feed SCP-21 by quickly tattooing fruits or small animals on the host. SCP-21 can be transferred between hosts by various forms of physical contact with differing rates of success. In the case of successful transfer, the organism simply swims from one person to the next. Sexual intercourse appears to be the most reliable method of transfer, with a 93% rate of transmission. However, due to the severe pain involved, this is less than ideal. Contact between 2 open wounds is generally preferable. Transfer is more complicated in deceased subjects, although not unreasonably so. The organism suffers no ill effect from the death of a host and continues to consume pigments. Transmission between species is unknown. Previous tests suggest it is either impossible or exceedingly rare. SCP-21 does confer some benefits to its host. The tattoo has been proven to accelerate the release and reuptake of epinephrine and decrease lactic acid buildup, providing boosts of strength, confidence, and pain tolerance in stressful situations, and reducing the usual after effects of weakness and fatigue. In addition, the tattoo seems to have some beneficial effects on the host's immune system. Aggression profiles in hosts are generally higher than average, although whether this is a direct effect of the tattoo or simply a reaction to the constant pain remains to be seen. The symbiotic relationship is usually limited by how long the host can tolerate such pain in everyday life. This has culminated in suicide in a number of subjects. In rare cases, hosts have also fallen victim to fatal skin infections. SCP-21 origins and nature are a mystery. Tracing its transmission from host to host is hardly feasible within the confines of secrecy, and the organism could well be hundreds of years old, if not more. Nevertheless, SCP-21's captivity is one of the longest in Foundation's history at nearly data expunged years, and has been very educational thus far. Current research focuses mainly on observing the characteristics of life in 2 dimensions. Right? So that was SCP-21. I think this one is just an introduction to a 2-dimensional SCP. Right? But that'll be it for today. That is SCP-17 to SCP-21. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because why not? It's free. And anyway, I'll see you guys in the next episode. But until then, bye!